Happy Thursday, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar titled Introducing FlexPay, Boost Your Practice's Bottom Line with Patient Financing. We're excited to have you all here to discuss this very important topic. My name is Steve Burnett. I am the sales manager at NexTrust BillFlash. And today we are joined by Riva Gindi from Sunbit, who is the Director of Account Management Platform Partnerships. Riva will be presenting today's webinar. As a quick note, we understand questions may arise during the webinar. Please hang on to those questions until the end. We have set aside some time for some Q&A. So Riva, the time is yours.
Amazing. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me today. And I'm excited to present what, if I can say it appropriately, what FlexPay looks like within NexTrust. So what we are here to do today, and Steve, thank you again very much for the introduction, is to talk about how to offer patient financing to your patients. I am from Sunbit. I've been at Sunbit for 2.5 years now. Sunbit has been around since 2015. We're in 25,000 locations nationwide and a large number of those in the healthcare space. And I also am responsible for bringing on all of our partnerships like NexTrust. So very familiar with practice workflows and excited to share this all with you today. So where I wanted to start is level setting on the problem and why we're here. First, Sunbit understands that 40% of Americans can't cover a surprise unexpected expense of $400 or more. When we think about healthcare, we know that the average bill is typically around $600. So right there's our problem, especially when a patient receives an unexpected amount in the mail in terms of their patient statement. What this looks like for providers is, one, sure, you're very familiar with this, patients either don't pay or they delay those payments. Right? This is very important when it comes to time to collect and the amount that you're able to collect. And sometimes this looks like as much as 30 to 50% of patient balances that remain uncollected over time. Where we have understood traditional financing has been failing patients, and I'm curious to know if some of you have already been offering some type of traditional financing to your patients and what that's looked like for your offices. But many times there are very lengthy applications that need to be filled out. There are also paper applications in some instances. And so the practice is really forced to kind of present and sell and have some of those maybe awkward conversations around how to get approved with financing. What does it look like to sit in the waiting room and complete a lengthy application when, unfortunately, what we also see is that 60% of patients are declined through traditional financing. So those can be some pretty uncomfortable conversations, especially in a waiting room in person if somebody is there also, hearing that a patient is declined and not sure how to move forward. What we look at here, so the next step of that decline rate and what this looks like is the average credit score. When we think about healthcare, is 599, right? When we think about also subprime versus prime, there's a breakdown of 680 and below, which becomes subprime, 680 to 720 and above, which is prime. This next slide here, I want to unpack this a little bit. At the bottom, we look at traditional e-commerce financing as well as traditional financing. Where this really comes into play is all of these patients here. So these in this subprime range are automatically declined in terms of approval for traditional financing or some of the other e-commerce options that exist out there. When it comes to BillFlash FlexPay, which is powered by Sunbit, we approve 9 out of 10 patients that apply. That's a 90% approval rate, which makes your conversations with your patients so much simpler, so much easier. And I'll show you in a second what that workflow looks like, where in many cases, based on how this system has been integrated into FlexPay, you don't even have to have that conversation at all. So let's talk about really how it works, right? So this is a sample printed patient statement that your patient would receive. If they receive this in the mail, as well as if they receive a notification via text, or if they receive a notification via email that their statement is ready to be paid, they will see a note where it says FlexPay is available at time of checkout. Here's a sample of what that would look like when that patient gets an email or SMS letting them know that they have a bill that's ready to be paid. They'll click on that link and go to PayLoop. When they land on the Paywoot screen, they will see, and this is from the patient view, they will see Sunbit and FlexPay offered here. The greatest thing about this is that this gives the patients the ability to see what their monthly payments could look like. Okay, so every patient will receive FlexPay options on their statements. And so as a patient, I know sometimes if I get a bill that I'm not sure if I can afford it or I'm not sure what to do with it, I may just close it and think about it again a little bit later. When I open a bill and then I potentially see FlexPay on there saying you could pay as low as $20 a month, that is much more enticing to me to be able to complete that transaction and check out. What this also looks like for your practice is that it's included on statements by default. You do not need to have that conversation. You do not need to bring that up with a patient to say, maybe you can apply, maybe you can do this. No, you just have to let your patients know they don't have to pay for everything today. Okay, so this is what it looks like on that statement for those patients. Let's talk about the patient application process. This is always the question that we get next, saying, well, what does this look like? How easy is it for a patient to check out using FlexPay? And how do they go about doing so? So when we think about this video, I'm going to also share real quick this screen for you. There's no sound with this video, but what I want to do is walk you through what it looks like for a patient to check out using FlexPay. So the first thing that will happen is a patient will receive a payment link that will be sent to your they'll receive a payment link through Paywoot. Once they enter onto the Sunbit screen, all they'll do is enter their phone number, receive a text verification. From there, they're going to enter their basic details. This is all we ask for: name, address, email, date of birth, and we collected their phone number. That's it. From here, they'll get an email verification screen, and they'll be able to verify their email. What that also looks like is that once they've done so, and we see that process happen lightning fast, they'll be able to see their options. They'll see that they're approved through Sunbit and be able to select a payment plan that works best for them. From there, they'll enter their debit card details. They will make sure that they're agreeing to the terms and conditions of the loan. They enter their social security number here, and then they're able to proceed, agree and continue, review that loan, and move forward right from their phone. From here, transaction was successful and they're all set. Now let's go back. I want to talk a little bit more about what this means both for the patient as well as for your practice. So you saw that whole transaction take place in less than 2 minutes. So we want to be fast, we want to be clean, we want to be transparent, and we really want to promote fair, open financing for you and your patients. So let's start with the patient side first. First is that we offer lightning fast approval and a lightning fast checkout. What you saw in that experience is that a patient did enter their information. They did enter their social security number, but one thing that differentiates Sunbit is that this is only a soft credit check. There is no hard credit check for a patient to apply and check their options with FlexPay. We also, like we talked about, approved 90% of patients that apply. FlexPay is available on statements anywhere from $60 all the way up to $10,000. So that is our approval range. Minimum starts at $60. So for even some of those smaller patient balances, the ability to pay over time really gives those patients the flexibility to say, yes, let me pay my bill. We have no late fees or hidden fees. Again, we want to make sure that we are working with patients to provide amazing customer service to them and allow you at your practice to get back to what you do best, which is see patients and treat the patients, rather than focusing so much on collection, which is, again, why we're here with NexTrust. And the one critical thing that I really want to touch on, which we just are thrilled to be able to roll out, is for any approved patient, which means 9 out of 10, all approved patients get an option to have 0% financing. Okay, so not all plans that patients see will have APR associated with it or interest associated with it. There are 0% payment plans available. Flipping now over to the provider side, what this means for you and your practices is that you will get paid right away. Sunbit And NexTrust, we initiate deposit the next business day. So funds hit your bank account via ACH deposit within 1 to 2 business days. Where we also really just want to help you get back to patient care is by adding no operational lift to your office. You don't have to chase patients down in terms of getting their monthly payment plans, in terms of seeing, if you can work out some type of payment plan and then needing to manage that going forward. With Sunbit and FlexPay, you get paid up front and then we take care of the rest. This allows you to speed up time to collect, treat more patients, retain those patients, allow them to keep coming back to your practice, knowing that you have these flexible payment options, and allow you to have continued positive interactions with your patients. Here's how it works. Again, you get paid next business day. I want to stop here for a second. Our loans are non-recourse. This means that if a patient is late on their payment, if they default on their loan, we do not take that money back. Right? That risk is on us. This allows you to get paid in full upfront, less a processing fee, driving those collections for you. There's a processing fee, 5.99%, that's associated with every loan that's completed through FlexPay. But what that does is allow you to get paid upfront. It allows you to offer this flexibility to your patients and really give your office the peace of mind knowing that patients are going to be so pleased with this amenity to be able to say, okay, I know I don't have to pay for everything today. Just like we said, you don't have to pay for everything today. So from high level overview, again, patients receive a notice that their bill is available to view and pay. They'll go to the PayWhoop portal. From there, they'll be able to see a FlexPay option, as well as what this means for no hard credit check, lightning fast approval, low monthly payments. They will then enter into the workflow where they can see and choose their payment plan right from their own device. They will always see that 0% option available, which is our 3-month plan. And then once they complete that transaction, they can do that right away, so fast. Your office gets paid and Sunbit takes care of the rest. If you remember nothing else from today, we are here and FlexPay is here to help you improve time and ease to collect, to make sure you're able to reach more patients now that you offer flexible payment options. And we want to help you grow. We want your practice to grow and your patients to thank you as well. So those are the talking points that I had today, what I really wanted to cover in terms of how FlexPay works. But we want to make sure that we can address some questions as well and allow you to work with the NexTrust team to get started with BillFlash and FlexPay right away.
Thank you, Reva. We appreciate you sharing that with us and presenting FlexPay. As promised at the beginning, we want to open it up to questions, Q&A. So for those of you that do have questions, the time is yours.
Hi, this is Julie Frazier. I had a question. So when a patient signs up and if they have additional care and they want to add on, would that be a new agreement or are they able to add to their existing agreement?
That's a great question. They would enter into a new loan agreement with Sunbit for that additional amount. However, patients have many different Sunbit loans going at the same time, which is totally applicable. I wanted to mention that we always work with patients as well too. If they wanted to change their payment date and align those payments together, we can absolutely help them do that. So let's say one loan starts on the 5th of the month, another one starts on the 15th. If they wanted to tie those payment dates together, they can absolutely do that. Great. And it looks like we have a question for Virginia too. Do we receive a copy of the transactions so we can post into our database like a notification? So the greatest thing about the integration within NexTrust and BillFlash is that the completed FlexPay transactions will show up in your standard NexTrust reporting. So where you would typically go to see all of your collected payments, Sunbit will appear in there as well for these completed purchases. We want you to only go to one place and make it as simple as possible for you to reconcile and understand what that looks like for your office. Great question. Great question. So again, from Virginia, thank you. It says, all that would be payable is $5.99 per transaction, no other hidden fees. You're exactly right. So what happens is Sunbit will hold that $5.99 transaction fee per each purchase and deposit the rest into the practice's bank account. So rather than you needing to pay us for that $5.99 tallied up at the end of the month or whatever that may look like, for every purchase that goes through, we hold that $5.99, deposit the rest right away. There are no other hidden fees. We don't have monthly minimums. We don't have a processing fee to sign up or an initiation fee. This is really, what we want to do is be transparent with you in terms of the fees, as well as transparent with your patients. When it comes to Sunbit too, we have over an 85 net promoter score, which is in the world of, how likely would you be to recommend Sunbit to a friend, considered world-class. So we want to make sure that we continue to provide exceptional customer service, visibility, transparency to patients and to your practices. And why it was a no-brainer for us to work with NexTrust to, again, provide that same level of care that's so important to us as a business too. I love these questions, Virginia. Thank you. It says, if I have a patient who has an issue with their payments, can we redirect them to BillFlash support? I think that's a great question. Steve, do you want to handle support paths and escalations? I know, we want NexTrust to be your first line of defense.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, if the patient, have any issues, basically our support team's here to support you as our customer. As far as if the patient has an issue with payments, typically we'll take calls from the billers and, from you as far as being able to help the patients. I think in this case, if it's an issue with the payment to Sunbit for the FlexPay, if I'm not mistaken, Reva, that would be something where your support team would be able to assist, correct?
Absolutely, 100%.
Yeah, absolutely. You can schedule a demo with a member of our sales team, and they'll be happy to provide more information and help answer questions and get that enrollment started so that you can implement FlexPay as one of your payment options for your patients for sure.
Terrific.
Perfect, Virginia. Yeah, I'll have someone reach out to you. And then that way we can get that demo scheduled for you. Again, we want to thank you all for joining us. Reva, thank you. Great job presenting FlexPay, and we wish you all a great rest of your day.
Thanks for having me.